live? Let's see. Are we live? Did we get in here? Okay. Hi, good morning. Good morning, everybody. We are going to kick off this week a little different. I wanted to pop in live and just welcome you to week 3. It is kind of a hump week. We're not quite halfway, but we're getting there, and we're approaching that time when your energy starts to either really amp up for the month or it really kind of takes a dive. So what I wanted to do was just really focus this week right from the get-go and just really focus on our mindset, where we're at, where we're going, what we're doing, all of the things. So I just finished my workout, so I'm a little like hyped up from that. And we're coming off Leadership Week, which is such a tremendous week. And it's just cool to be able to be here. So thank you so much. If you're still plugged in, if you're still engaged, if you're still feeling connected, hopefully you'll get a little bit out of this. So I wrote some notes down on what I really wanted to cover, and what I really wanted this week to be for everybody. So hopefully you'll just bear with me a little bit, and we can kind of set the tone and set the intention. So this week's going to be a little bit different. You're in here for a very specific purpose. You're in here for a very specific reason, and that's different for everybody. It's not that everybody just wants to go diamond. There's a lot of different reasons why you're showing up. There's a piece of you or a piece of your journey that you either feel is missing, hasn't yet been fulfilled. You're probably searching for some kind of solution or some kind of answer, or just something to help you reach that next level. And that's something that no matter where you're at in your journey, you can relate to. I think that that's even more prevalent the higher up you get and the bigger your team grows. So because you're in here for that aha moment and that feeling you get when your soul is on fire, when you're really focused, when you're really driven, when you're hitting one of those moments where everything is just kind of coming together. If that's kind of what you're seeking, and you really want to understand that feeling of being unstoppable and being fearless and being able to approach your business long term and endure what it takes, I hope that you get that this week. And I hope that you learn that that's something that you can cultivate in your journey. It's not something that just comes to you. It's not something that anyone else can give to you. That's something that you have to build from within. So you're here to connect the dots between wanting it and working for it. And that's what we're going to focus on. This week, I'm going to give you guys a little bit more of a test in your endurance. I'm going to give you a little test in your grit, in your vital behaviors, because anyone can hide behind a screen and pretend that they're plugged in. But all of you guys know that you can be plugged in and be completely disconnected. You can go through the motions, you can do your power hours, you can check everything off your list, and it still doesn't work. And that's when you know there's a connection problem. And I think that one of the things I've discovered this year as a leader the most is how critical and how important that connection piece is. We talk about understanding your why, we talk about sharing your why, but if you're not connecting to that every single day intentionally, it's really easy to become distracted and unfocused and disconnected. And that's what we're seeing so much of, especially this year with everything that we've gone through already, that it's even more important to understand what keeps you connected, what helps you connect other people to themselves, and what really is going to long-term serve your health and wellness. So one thing that I wanted to say is just like you, okay, so you can't, this is important, you can't hide the work that you aren't doing. Just like you can't hide the work that you are. And I want you to think about that for a second. The physical work that it takes to transform, become mentors, create impact, and help people change, help yourself change. Unlike our emotional transformation or the thoughts that we have every day, the physical work can actually be tracked. Let that sink in. The physical work that you're doing for your business can be tracked. So if you have nothing that's trackable, then all that means is it's time to connect to the things that are, because that's what's really going to help you start building a business, income, impact, right? So this is your week to build some of that stuff. Endurance, grit, see if you have what it takes to push through some of that overwhelm. So overwhelm is one of the biggest excuses that there is. And you may not think that it's an excuse, but it is. Overwhelm is something that we feel, and when we feel it, we think, oh my gosh, I gotta step back. We think that it's our body's way or our mind's way of saying, this is too much. You're putting too much on yourself, when really it's a really big sign that this is an area of growth. So if you feel the overwhelm this week, especially, I want you to, instead of leaning away from it or taking a step back or slowing down, I want you to lean into it more. And I want you to pick up the pace a little bit. And I want you to match the energy of what's going on. Because if you can't plug into a push group, if you can't get on a live once a day, or you can't handle the notifications, how are you going to build a Star Diamond business team? How are you going to run a Beachbody organization of your own? This is your time to build up that endurance. This is your time to become more capable of what leaders have to do. We don't have the luxury of just unplugging because we can't deal with it right now. We don't have the luxury of not working through that overwhelm. There's times when you definitely need to unplug and need a break, but that's different. And I want you guys to really understand that. So this week, as you kind of go through this process and you really lean into your goals and you really sit down and think, okay, what's my vision? What am I working for? How are you going to manage the workload and responsibility that comes with growth? Self-care, right? Like, you have to learn how to manage and cope and deal with what happens to you when you're not at your best. And I think one of the most life-changing things about coaching is exactly that. Coaching becomes that constant. It becomes that iron rod in your life. It becomes that one thing that no matter what's going on in your life, as crazy as it gets, as unpredictable as it is, as impossible as it is to schedule around and plan for, right? Like, coaching is something that is consistent, it's stable, it's your rock. And I think that's such a cool thing when you learn that the vital behaviors are what help you manage, cope, and endure. Those are the things that will bring you back on track time and time again. Those are the things that will save your life time and time and time again. So as we go through this week, I want you to remember and really prioritize your own personal vital behaviors, your own personal journey, your own personal wellness, body, mind, and soul. Because if one of those things is out of whack, it's really hard to show up for that vision that you've built for yourself. It's impossible, actually. So discover how you operate best. Understand how you operate at your worst. And learn how to bring those two things into harmony. Not balance, just harmony. Because life is full of ups and downs, and so is your business, and so is everything else. So if you can learn how to just deal with it as it arises, whatever that is, the highs, the lows, the goal really with being with leadership and with being able to endure what it takes to get to the end point isn't being able to have really high highs and sometimes have lows. It's really being able to manage the energy that's that you're projecting in your business, that your business is bringing into your life. It's being able to have a more stable, consistent flow, so that the really high highs are amazing and wonderful and beautiful, and the really low lows are just another one of those things that you're dealing with, but you're going to keep on moving. And you just get to level off sort of how you operate in your business. And you're less distracted and less deterred by things that are happening in life, and more able to focus on those consistent things that keep you grounded, keep you in harmony, and keep you level-headed as you continue to grow. So before we start, here are my ground rules for this week. Number one, there are no excuses. There are none. Your goals don't care about how you feel. That is the cold, hard truth. I'm going to say it just one more time. Your goals don't care how you feel. That's so important, because at the end of the day, it's just true. It doesn't matter how we feel. If we want something, we have to work for it. Whether we feel good or bad or ugly, it doesn't really matter. The second thing is, if you feel the I don't have start coming on in your mind, I don't have time, I don't have the transformation, I don't have the perspective, I don't have the experience, I don't have the ability to impact. All of these things that we start thinking, right? When you start getting those I don't haves, I want you to replace that phrase with, I have all the blank I need. I have all the time I need. I have all the wisdom I need. I have all the experience I need. I'm fully equipped. I'm fully equipped. So one of the main things, and I've talked about this a little bit already, is don't abuse your energy. Protect it. It's so important. The burnout is real, and it's something that you either learn to endure, or you let it continually knock you back 100 steps again and again and again, and end up having to rebuild to where you were, only to fall back to where you started, and then rebuild again to where you were, right? We're trying to get beyond where we've ever been. And in order to do that, we really have to protect our energy. We have to focus on our own wellness and self-care first. So this week, I wanted to give just a little analogy. I've been doing 30-day breakaway, and it has so many life lessons in those audio runs. And I was doing the buildable cardio run outside workout, and that was so amazing. I thought that was such a cool metaphor for how we should really run our businesses. And I think that a lot of the times when you have built up your endurance and you've learned how to cope with that overwhelm, this is really how you start to manage your energy and keep it more balanced. And the premise of the workout is you start your run at a specific pace, right? Your RPE, 4 to 5, meaning your effort, your projected effort is at a 4 to 5. That's what you start with. And you do that for a certain amount of time. And then you increase your RPE to a 6 or 7, right? You increase your energy and effort. Instead of when you get tired or when you get overwhelmed or when you get burnt out, instead of resting, you actually train your body and your mind to rev up. You step up the pace, right? And you work from a 6 to 7 RPE. And just when you're getting into that groove, you level up again and you go to an 8 or a 9 RPE, and you finish at that higher level. And then you get the rest. And I thought that was such a cool, strengthening workout. Your mind is so powerful. And if you can learn how to adapt it to where you're going instead of where you've been, or even where you are, it's just incredibly transformative. So when we think about this metaphor in our business, we think, okay, in week 1 of each month, if I can work at a 4 to 5, and then week 2, I can amp up that energy and effort to a 6 or 7. And week 3, I can be working at that 7, 8, or 9 RPE, that max energy level, but not like full on sprinting or running, but just a really high elevated energy by week 3. Then by week 4, our goals should be reached, right? We should have what we needed to accomplish that week done. And by week 4, you can go into this beautiful rest pace where you can just coach. The dream for me is this. This is something I realized just a couple of weeks ago when I was like doing a lot of one-on-ones and mentoring and doing all this stuff. And I was, feeling a little disconnected from inviting, a little disconnected from my own personal business. And I thought to myself, man, I really need to like dig deeper into that stuff because I gotta go here and I've got all this stuff to accomplish. I started thinking about all my goals and my vision and where I'm going. And it took me just like 1 second to realize 10 years ago when I started coaching, this was my dream. I wanted to become a mentor. I wanted to be the kind of person that could get on a video chat like this with someone and help them. I wanted to have the skills. I wanted to have the tools. I wanted to have the knowledge. I wanted to have that feeling that you see in our leadership of calm. It's one thing I recognized a lot is how calm our leaders were. And I always felt like my energy was like all over the place. And I was like hustling and running and pushing and trying to understand where that calm collectiveness came from. And I remember writing down so many goals. And one of the main things that kept me going and pushed me harder than anything else was holding on to the vision of who I ultimately was trying to become. Not what I wanted to achieve, but who I wanted to be. I didn't want to be who I was anymore. I didn't want to stay in this dysfunctional, depressed, negative space that I was in. I had a brand new baby, and every time I looked in his face, I saw my real reflection for the first time. And I didn't like what I saw. And I remember vividly thinking, he deserves better than this. Like, I have to be a better example of what women are. They aren't depressed. They aren't negative. They aren't just moms or just wives or just spouses. And it's the same for men who work this business. I think we take for granted that they go to work every single day and that they just get to leave and that they want to do what they're doing. It is hard to be the sole breadwinner of your family. And I know that now. I know what it takes to show up at a job that you don't love, that doesn't fulfill you, and you having no choice because that's your role, right? It doesn't matter which way you look at it, male, female, whatever. We all experience these things where we get to these points where we're like, oh my gosh, like, is this who I want to be? My wish for you is to write down a statement of who you ultimately are trying to become. I would love for you to write it in the chat below, because at the end of the day, like, our goals and our achievements can easily overwhelm us. They can easily paralyze us just as much as they can motivate us. But when we start to make decisions based on who we ultimately are trying to become, we start to work differently. Because there's never going to be a point where that doesn't motivate you, where you aren't motivated to be kinder, to be more level-headed, to be able to control those moments in your life and those personality traits within yourself that you don't love so much, right? Like, we all have them. Our volatility, being able to take control of that and really use that, not only to improve our lives, but to help those around us. The one thing that I will say, and this leads me to my next and final rule, is you're not allowed to complain if it's self-inflicted. If you're tired, rest. If you're unmotivated, get moving. Move your body. If you're foggy and sluggish, connect to your self-care and eat like you care about yourself. Most excuses derive directly from our lack of, our neglect, or our failure to recognize basic needs not being met. And this is why the vital behaviors are so key, because they address our basic core needs. We all want to build a business that's big, that has big impact, that changes lives forever, right? But it's the coaches who learn how to pace themselves and really preserve their energy and practice that endurance over time that don't burn out as often. And when they do burn out, they know exactly how to get themselves back on track. When leaders struggle, the very first thing that they do is go back to phase one. We're constantly trying to be in phase one. The bigger our business grows, the more people that we bring in, the more easy it is to get distracted and to put all of our energy and effort into helping other people overcome their obstacles. It's even easy to start avoiding our own again, because the work we're doing is more important when we're helping other people do that. And as leaders, and as your business grows, it's going to become even more difficult to prioritize yourself if you don't commit to that right now. Number one, priority, phase one, vital behaviors. That's my number one every day. It has to be. You guys know, so many of you, I started this journey because of my little boy and saying he deserves better, right? Like, I have to be healthier. I have to function better. I need to be able to show up in a way that shows him what a positive, motivated, driven, ambitious, comfortable, healthy person looks like, that isn't afraid to show imperfection and have flaws and be able to apologize when I do something wrong. Like, these things were so important to me. So if you want to be a leader and you're losing sleep over how to do that, like how to next level, how to get to where you want to go, and you're racking your brain over and over, like, how the freak am I going to do this? Here is the solution. Show up. Show up. If you want to lead, be seen. If you want to grow, share your vision out loud. If you want to succeed, endure. And if you want to love what you're doing every single day, because I'll tell you too, you guys, you can build this the wrong way. And you can build it the wrong way in a big way. And the bigger it builds the wrong way, the worse it feels. So if you want to love what you do, build your team. Focus on what you want. We have this group, and we have corporate, and we have our sponsors, and we have our team that we came into. And it's really easy to get lost in that. It's really easy to think like, okay, this is my team. But it's not really. Like, your team is the team that I want you to dream about this week and work towards this week. Your team is the team that you personally are building, that you are creating and cultivating. It's who you should think of when you're inviting your future team, your future leaders, your tribe that's going to get you to that ultimate vision, working together, but independently, and loving showing up every day, loving the vital behaviors, loving this process of getting paid to be better and to help and to leave people better. It's incredible. So let's see, what else? Here's the last and final few thoughts, because I know this is going really long. One thing that I've been saying to myself a lot lately because I've been working a lot, and we're starting to open some other businesses, and things are getting really crazy, and there's transition happening, and we're just in a really another pivotal transition in our life. And I know how chaotic it can get. I know how crazy it can get. I know exactly what things get neglected in our hustle, and I'm better prepared for it. I know how to make up for it. I know how to do all these things. But sometimes in the moment, when you are making those sacrifices, when you are tired, when you are exhausted, when you are making dinner after a really long day and everybody else is relaxing and you're not because you're still working, I keep having this thought over and over and over, and it's nobody's going to cook you dinner. I mean, like, no one's going to cook your dinner. This is your job. And if I want to eat, I got to cook. If I want to sleep, I got to delegate. If I need motivation, I need to look the fuck around, because it's right here in front of my face every day. I have a giant support system and community of people who are so highly motivated and highly driven that I guarantee you, on my worst day, if I show up and I plug in and I look around, someone's having their best day. And for me, that's what I need. I need to see somebody who is out there actively helping people, that's got the passion, that's got the fire in that moment, that can fire me back up and reignite me. And I think when you start to use our support system and our community in that way, instead of compare yourself, right? Because it's so easy to get caught up in comparison. It's so easy to look at someone who's doing what you wish you could do, or that you want to one day do, and think, oh, I can never do that. You're so good at this. And you can just go through that whole gamut of limiting belief. Or you can look at them with new eyes and you can say, what do I love about what they're doing? And you can capture that essence. You can capture that discipline. You can capture those things that you envy and that you want to imitate. And you can take them and you can say, how can I do this in my business? How can I implement this into my life? And that's when comparison starts to change and shape and mold you in a positive forward direction, instead of how it's always done before and held you back. One thing that I think is key, and I love doing these mindset roundtables and this mindset work with coaches, because I think most of the time, it's not a tool or a tip or a system that a coach implements that actually changes everything for them. It's a mindset. It's a phrase. It's something that somebody says one time that changes you forever. And that's why it's so awesome to be able to do what we do, because you just never know when you say that one thing that maybe somebody's heard 1,000 times before from their own sponsor or from a quote online. But when it comes out of your mouth, for some reason, it has a different impact. Like, when you can do that and you can live your life in a way that showing up just brings that kind of impact and result, like, what else could we ask for? So I love these little mindset sessions. And I want you to tap into that higher power. We have a logo on our team and it's 3 dots. And those 3 dots represent the full solution. And when you're a challenger, that full solution often is daily exercise, daily nutrition, and daily mindset work. And those 3 things are what bring you the results. And that's what those dots represent. As you grow and as you become a coach, those things start to evolve. And one of those dots becomes the vital behaviors. One of them, it represents body, mind, and soul, right? Like daily exercise, nutrition, self-care, all of those things. And then the second thing, the second dot becomes that one thing in your life that you've learned that keeps you consistent, that keeps you grounded. And then that third dot becomes your X factor. It's you. You're the X factor. And so you start to look at that logo differently. You start to look at those 3 dots and you think to yourself, like, this is something I can evolve and grow with. And when you have symbolism and you have those things in your life where you intentionally start putting symbols or words or pieces into your journey that keep you grounded, that keep you focused, that keep you motivated. And when you look at them, they immediately bring you back to that ultimate person that you're trying to become, or that ultimate vision that you have in your mind. It's just so powerful. And so what I really wanted to just come across with that is to really tap into that X factor and what that is for you. What is that one thing that you can bring into your journey, or that one piece of you that gets shit done? What is that one piece of yourself that you can call on to get you to where you need to go? Because I'll tell you, when I became a coach, that was not present. I didn't know what that X factor was. I didn't recognize it. I didn't understand it. Now I look back and I say, Jace, even at your worst, you were able to do what you did. Your ambition, your drive, your work ethic, your unwillingness to give up. That was your X factor. Your passion to bring hope to other people who were struggling like you were, to give them that hope that change was possible. That was your X factor. That's what drove you to your success. And I think when you can look at your life and where you are right now and you can say, what is my X factor? You can lean into that. Not only do you start playing from your strength instead of your weakness, that's when you really start to create significant impact in your life and the lives of other people. Inner belief and confidence is something that I'm very passionate about. And I believe that it's a very, very simple process to get there. It's not easy. It's not going to happen overnight. It's something that that becomes a life practice. Inner belief is a life practice. It's something that you learn, implement, and practice, just like yoga or something else. It's a way of life. So inner belief and confidence, I believe, is built by one confident choice at a time. It doesn't matter if that choice that you have to make is good, is ugly, is easy, is hard. It doesn't matter. But as long as that choice that you're making leads you to the person you are ultimately trying to become, it will never fail you. And the more you start to make decisions based around that, the more confident you become, the more authentic you become, the more comfortable you become with who you are. And the less you compare, the less you look for external validation, the less you look for external affirmation, and you start to build that within yourself. It's incredible. It's not easy, but it's so transformative. So if you are in a place where you're struggling with that inner belief, right, which all of us are, I struggle with that. Carl Deichler, for example, at the end of Leadership, got up on stage and walked us through his process and what he deals with limiting belief-wise, and all the things that he thinks when he goes to bed at night, and how he works himself out of those toxic, negative, limiting beliefs and back to the place that he needs to be to create maximum impact. And it was phenomenal to see that every single human being goes through this process the same. So consistency is something that you guys hear a lot. Consistency is the key to success, but I believe the key to consistency is connection. Connection is one of the biggest assets that we have as human beings. If we want to impact ourselves and other people, connection is the key. And the way to really work into more consistency is to work deeper into the soil of it, to get to the root of it. And consistency comes and is driven when we're motivated, when we're passionate, when we're connected. We want to show up. So to get yourself connected this week, this is what you need to start thinking about. Get connected to yourself. Get connected to your boundaries. Get connected to your walls that are up. Connect to the obstacles that you're facing. Connect to your pain and get a little bit closer to it, because the closer you are to it, the closer you are to healing. Get connected to any anger. Connect to your drive. Connect to that hunger and that urgency that you have within yourself, and start tapping into some of those things, because those are the things that we resist because they're real, because they're vulnerable. And focus your personal development in those areas. What are my boundaries? What are my walls? Where am I resisting? What am I holding back? Every time you feel resistance, that's your key to your personal development. You can read all the leadership books in the world and get nowhere. Trust me, that was me. I read every book, listened to every podcast. I did everything right. I checked every box. But I wasn't connected to the things that actually were going to grow me. And that was working through my stuff, understanding that I have work to do. I had to face that work, and I had to commit to it. And that's really when my personal development changed. So the one thing that I know I did right, and this is my ending piece, I promise. The one thing that I did right in this business that I will thank myself for again and again and again, is I have continuously put myself in the place of most potential. Over and over and over again. Even when I was at my newest, my weakest, my least, my least educated, my least experienced, all of the things that I wasn't, right? I still put myself in the place of most potential. I worked to get to the star diamond ranks as fast as I could, because I knew there was a next level of support system waiting for me, of people who were already where I wanted to be. I continuously put myself into goals that sustained and represented longevity. Million Club, Success Club Legend, right? Star Diamond ranks, all of these things that represent real work, longevity, consistency over time, right? I put myself into test groups. I got myself into the round table. I became a member of the Market Council in Orlando, and I learned how to talk to people in an environment that was scary, horrifying, actually. But I worked to get those corporate mentors. I worked to earn those Success Club trips. I worked and networked with leaders who had done things that I hadn't done, and I continuously put myself in a position where I was the least successful person in the room, over and over and over again. And I would say this group is no different, right? Like, when I look at the other coaches who are hosting this and leading this group call, if I wasn't in a place where I knew what my value was, where my personal success lies, I would think to myself, I'm not worthy to be here. Why am I here? I'm not good enough to be here, right? But when you can start to look around you and you say, I'm here, so that means I'm here for a reason. Or I was invited to do this, so there's a value here that someone's seeing that even if I'm not right now, I'm just going to trust. And I think when you can start to operate that way, and you guys understand, like, you're all here for a reason. The reason that you're here is because you are the coach that's showing up. You're not the coach that gave up. You're the coach that maybe even is really struggling, but you're still here. And that's why you're going to be successful. And that's why you're going to be an incredible coach. And that's why your team is going to benefit directly from you, because you're that kind of person. And that's amazing. So I hope that you recognize that. So what part of you do you need to call on in this season of your life to get you to that next level? What part of you, what are you going to do to show up for that vision? I want you guys, and I challenge you guys, to hold yourself publicly accountable this week to your own vital behaviors. And I want you to use that hashtag, show up for it. And I want you to go into that hashtag on Instagram, and I want you to see all the other coaches around you who are using it every day, just as their own personal accountability piece. And I want to create that space in this group because I think it's so incredibly powerful when you can move together. This is something that me and my team do very, very well. If someone's struggling, we will have a team call about that one person's struggle if we have to, and we will move through it together. Because at the end of the day, that's the kind of experience, that's the kind of support, that's the kind of belief that we need sometimes to get to where we're going. So when you have a resource to look around you and see everyone that's showing up, it's just incredible. It's incredibly motivating, and it keeps you moving forward. So this week, once a day, your home work, right? We do our home workouts, we do our home personal development, we do everything from home. Your home work is to post once a day the accountability for your vital behaviors and hashtag it, show up for it. So that way we can all go into that hashtag at the end of the day and see all the people in this group showing up. It's powerful. My last and final word on rank, because I know this is a diamond push group. If you want to be a diamond coach, you're going to actually get there when your mindset transcends beyond it. When you're no longer focused on that as your goal, right? Or the end point, and your sights are on something beyond diamond, that's when you're going to do it. I guarantee you every single leader in this group, when they hit diamond, they were thinking about 15-star, 5-star, Million Club, Success Club Legend. That was driving them. They were thinking about the 8 people that were going to become the foundation of their business. The 8 people that were going to make the difference and build this dream and branch out their ripple effect. One thing I will say is if you can't look around and look at the person next to you in this group and know for sure that they are doing their part and showing up, there's a problem. If people are looking at you and questioning whether you're showing up, whether you're putting in the work, whether you're getting those trackable results that lead to transformation, what are we doing here? We first have to trust each other. And the way that we do that is by showing up ourselves, by being the coach that anyone can rely on to show up. So this is our challenge this week. I want you to show up for it. I want you to show up for your vision and your team. That team that you visualize, ultimately who you are going to lead. Who are you ultimately going to become as a leader, and what does that team look like that you're leading? When you start to invite this week, I want you to think about that. Who are my 8 coaches that are going to build the foundation of this vision with me? Who get it? Who I don't have to convince to coach, who I don't have to convince to be actively working, that understand it, that went through a transformation themselves, who are addicted to personal growth. Those are your lifers. Those are your people. Go find them. This is about your team. This group is about your team. So the more focused you can stay on that and understand that you showing up affects you directly, and you not showing up only affects you directly, right? Especially if everybody else is showing up for themselves. Because there's no one coach that's going to make or break your business other than you. There's no one coach that's going to make or break your business other than you. If you keep going, if you commit to never giving up, if you commit to that personal growth year after year after year and committing to becoming better and leaving people better, you will get paid eventually to do that for a living. That's why coaching is incredible. So hold true to your vision. Write down below in the comments who you ultimately are trying to become. And I want to see that daily practice of you showing up for it, showing up for yourself. And we'll see how this week goes. Tomorrow, my Star Diamond coach, Darcy, is going to share her story. And I'm really excited about it because she was a discount coach turned active coach turned Star Diamond leader. And I love her perspective on those things. So tomorrow, you guys will hear from her. On Wednesday, we're going to do a little gut check, which I also love doing. Thursday, I'm going to share my story in my leadership. I don't even like saying leadership because I still don't feel like that word really represents what we're ultimately trying to become. But we're going to share a little bit of my story. And Friday, I'm going to do a Q&A with everybody. I really want you to start thinking about questions that you want to ask throughout this week. And I want you to write them down. And on Thursday night, I'll probably have you guys write down all of the questions. And we'll just go through them one by one. We'll roundtable, we'll discuss them. I do have the Network Power Hour on Saturday at 7 a.m. So I hope you guys can plug into that live. Those power hours are so incredible because they really just focus you in on the things that really actually matter and that are going to grow your business, and they cut out all the fluff. So if you want to learn how to manage your time better and you want to get results, those are your jam. So I hope we can take a minute today, make sure we get caught up on everything, get our mindset right, share our vision of who we ultimately are trying to become, and I will see you guys tomorrow.